But what happens when no one's listening? Forget the noise, the narratives, and the nonsense. It's time to have real conversations, stand up, speak out, and shine a light on what's really happening inside our schools, our systems, and our government, and what it really means for your family. This is the Lindsey Beckham Show, where we believe in truth over talking points, facts over feelings, and the courage to say what others won't. Because when it comes to our kids, silence is not an option. Only in America.
Happy Monday, everyone. These weekends go by way too fast. Welcome into the Lindsey Beckham Show, live here in the WYAB studios. We are also streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Unfortunately, our phone lines are still down, but you can text in to the Lindsey Beckham Show text line. That number is 601-879-4648. Hope everybody had a fabulous weekend. I hope everybody's kiddos are adjusting to this back to school schedule. I think it might be harder for mama at my house than it is for the kids. We do have a special guest in the studio today, and we're going to talk about how to be active in your community, how to make a difference. And I don't know anyone better than my friend Phil here who could do that. But we're going to start the show like we do every day. Well, I guess I better slow down. Phil, it's my oldest daughter's birthday. So if I don't tell her happy birthday on the show, I might be in trouble. So it is my oldest daughter, my senior. I can't believe it. She weighed 5 pounds yesterday. I just brought her home from the hospital. Don't know how this happened, but it is her birthday. And I just keep pretending like time is not passing, but I can't slow it down. So happy birthday to Mia. She's at school today. She's a senior, only has to go every other day. And so she was really sad that her day she had to go fell on her birthday. And she said, Mom, can I just get out early? We just started. Let's not start the asking to leave school quite yet. Not yet. But we are going to start by reading our Live in Liberty daily quote, what I like to call our Madison Minute of the day, because I think it's so important that we focus on what our founding fathers intended and what they meant for this great country. In my opinion, the greatest country to ever exist. Now, this comes from Benjamin Franklin, and this was from his closing speech at the Constitutional Convention in 1787. And this is what he said. Thus I consent, sir, to this Constitution because I expect no better. The opinions I have had of its errors I sacrifice to the public good. I have never whispered a syllable of them abroad. Within these walls they were born, and here they shall die. If every one of us, returning to our constituents, were to report the objections he had to it, we might prevent it being generally received. Much of the strength and efficiency of any government depends on opinion. I hope, therefore, that for our own sakes and for the sake of our own posterity, we shall act heartily and unanimously in recommending this Constitution, the great Constitution of the United States of America that we are so fortunate to live under here in this great free country. And that quote's perfect for today, Phil, because this is Phil Buffington, our guest. And I don't know anybody more active in their community, Phil, than you are in this area. And so I think I've found it's almost like pulling teeth to get people to get out and be active and want to do things to better their community, to better their political party, and just to get things done. You have to have people to do those things and to advocate for the things that they care about. And I think that's what our founding fathers intended for all of us to do in order to keep this country great. So do you tell the listeners about yourself.
I agree. But first I want to start off by saying happy birthday to Mia.
Thank you.
I think that's incredible. I hope she has a wonderful birthday today. I'm sorry she had to be in school today, but that's all right. She probably has great friends there, and so she's going to have a wonderful day. And it'll end up with her family, which will make it even more wonderful. So
absolutely.
Happy birthday to her.
Thank you.
I do think that quote is really important. I like to tell people all the time that we've got great systems and great processes in the United States. And the only reason they will fail is if we don't have people involved in them. and we're talking about good people. So it's really important to be involved in everything, all aspects of life, in government, like you mentioned, in political parties, like you mentioned, but also just in community activities, in schools. I know you're really active in school activities. And if you stop and think about it, our country, let me back up, our county and our state and our country only get better if we help the younger generation fully develop into the people they can be. And I've got a lot of faith in our youth. I really do. I know a lot of people say we're going through cycles, and that's fine. Everybody does that. Everybody gets to where they need to be in life. And all we need to do is encourage them and help them along the way.
Absolutely. And that's why I think it's so important that our kids get good civics lessons in school, and that we are teaching that. I honestly think, Phil, the most important thing that our kids can get from the schoolhouse is to know their rights, is to know our Constitution, is to know what this country was founded on. And I know in public schools you can't necessarily preach religion or Christianity the way that I wish that we could, but I think it's important that we know our rights come from God, our Creator.
I agree. And I do think it's really important that our school systems teach people how to think, not to memorize. We don't need to be there just for memorization. We need to be able to really make people know that they have the ability to think freely on their own and become the person they can be. And part of that is, it's not just about the school, it's about the family. You've got a wonderful family, and I know you give your children great guidance. I try to do the same thing. I try to do the same thing with my grandchildren. And it's all about teaching them how to be responsible adults. And I will tell you, a lot of my community involvement comes from my parents and my grandparents, where I learned it from them, where they were active in the community. They always were. I go back and I think about it. I was active in my church, and I was active in activities, community outreach activities from my church. I was active in Boy Scouts. And all of that, I think, develops you into the type person you want to become, and the type person that we need people to become to really be active and be a part of the community. Because without it, we're just going to keep struggling. And we need people that are firmly committed to keeping our country faithful and family oriented, and also maintaining the friendships that we have going forward.
Absolutely, Phil. You nailed it. And of course, we're always only one generation away from losing everything that our founding fathers risked it all for. And I think that was so eloquently said about the memorization part, because you can even see here in Mississippi, of course, I think it starts at home, but in Mississippi, we change things when it comes to the way we teach kids how to read. So instead of teaching memorization or putting a picture of the word that you can see the picture and know what the picture is, we went back to the basics, to phonics and sounding out these words. And that's a lot of the reason why we've seen what we call around here the Mississippi Miracle. And so, teaching kids how to think.
And I agree. And with technology becoming part of our everyday life, if we don't go back to some of the basics, I think we're going to develop a generation that's too reliant on computers and electronics and technology. And really, they're going to get to the point that they aren't thinking for themselves. They're relying on somebody to do it. I think AI is a wonderful invention, but it's only a wonderful invention if it's used properly. Absolutely. And it should be used properly from the standpoint of helping people organize their thoughts and develop ideas. But you've got to have the experience and the knowledge to know what you're looking at to make sure that it's accurate. And you can let's just take somebody in junior high. They don't know everything that you and I know. And so AI may not be as beneficial to them because they rely on it. Whereas if something came out of artificial intelligence, you and I would recognize some flaws in it. And that's an important thing there. I think that's an important distinction, is knowing how to use the technology we have and making sure that we're not letting it be a replacement for the education and community involvement that we need. It really ought to be there to enhance our ability to do even more for our community and really become better people. in my opinion.
Absolutely. 1,000,000%. And I see both sides of this, but I see people on the extreme of both sides. People who think, oh, we need robots in the classroom teaching our kids. And then the other side says we need to ban all of this AI. Well, as technology advances and times change, we have to change with the times or we'll be left behind completely. So I don't think that we should forget that this is happening. It's here. You
Right.
can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, so to
You're right.
say. But I also don't think we should completely rely on it. Funny joke here. My oldest daughter, who, of course, I was telling you it's her birthday today, but I quit telling her yes to things or responding to her when she would text me without using proper grammar. So I had to
Oh,
teach her
wow.
that she use may and say, can I do this? I was like, no, it's may. As I would say, I don't know, can you? And then teaching her, you've got to use the correct punctuation and capitalization so people know what you're saying. These run-on sentences make no sense to me. The way they text.
Well, and that's great, Lindsay, because I agree with you. And if you'll look at some of my text, it may not be all of them, but I really do it in a format of a letter. The name, then you drop down, and then you have this. And I try to use the punctuation, and I try to use good terminology. And then I again move down and sign the text instead of
so
just
much easier to read.
Instead of just having this random run-on sentence where you don't know where it ends. And that's really part of, if we don't let our young people learn and develop their ways to think and really go through that, I think we're in for a lot of trouble. But I really do think that they really have the basic foundation. And if we will encourage them, I really have a lot of faith in our next generation of leaders, and I'll call them that because I think everybody out there is a leader. All they have to do is get engaged, be informed, and help make a difference. And that's a leadership. It doesn't matter whether or not you're in a picture in a paper or you're on a stage somewhere. It's really what you do to make community better. And if you can make your community better, you're a leader. And I think a lot of young people want to make their communities better. And hopefully a lot of older people do too.
Yeah, absolutely. And one quote that I love, it's one of my favorite ones. Who said it now? It's left my mind now. I'll think of it in just a second. But if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. And I think that also speaks to our communities.
Yep.
I can't change the world. I'm one person, but I can do my darndest to change my corner of it. And I can get people plugged in and get them activated. And that does make a difference.
Well, and when you think about it, and I love the fact you said, see, I think you can change the world. You just have to change it one step at a time.
Right.
And I haven't given that up yet. And maybe that's why I do so much. But I think all of us have the ability to start changing the world, but we've got to change that one little part of ours first. It may be our family. It may be our job. It may be this one organization that I'm involved with. But that's where you start affecting change. And it builds out. I really do. I can't remember who said this. This may tell you that I'm really off reading some crazy stuff, but I read a quote one time said, be the change you want to see in the world. And quite frankly, if we would adhere to that, I think we would be in a better place because you and I want to see a better world. Right. And as long as we're trying to create that through what we're involved in, then we're creating a better world. And that's the change we want to see. And I think that's important for people to remember. You can have an impact. Now, can you change everything worldwide overnight? No, but you can change things by being involved. There's no doubt in my mind about it. I see what you do. I see what other people do. You were really gracious to me earlier, but there are a lot of really active people in Madison County and in the state of Mississippi that are really passionate about what they do. And if we can really build on people's passion, things will be better. Now, there's some things we don't need to be as passionate about. And so we always need to have some reality checks, but latch on to something in your community that makes it better. Become passionate about it and be a part of making it the strongest organization it can, whether it's a school board, whether it's a soccer community, whether it's a dance group. Latch on to something and help make a difference in so many people's lives that are involved with that organization.
Amen. And that's how you become effective, is to show what you're passionate about, because you don't take someone seriously if they sound monotonous and as if they're being forced to speak something. But when you can see someone who is being genuine with you and really stripping down and telling you how they really feel, showing where their passion lies, that's when you grab the hearts of people and that they make them want to get involved.
I agree. And you've got to build on that, because the one thing I know, I think I know this about people, and I hope you'll agree with me. If you can tap into what they're passionate about, they will be as active as you will ever want them to be. And they will be active in a positive way that helps make not only the community better, but the state better, and everybody's life that's involved around them. I see that day in and day out. And we don't always agree with everything that they're passionate about. For example, I may not be passionate about hockey. I'm going to use something easy, but I love people that are, because I love to see them really embrace that. We need to make sure, though, that we stay grounded in our passion. That's important. Mm-hmm. And I really, me personally, I'm really tied to my faith and my family and my friends. And I don't think I use the term friend overly so, but I know a lot of people that I think are my friends, and I think that's the way we need to approach community involvement. We need to be involved with our friends. We need to help bring them along. We need to increase their passion, and we just need to make the community a better place. We're fortunate here in Madison County, mm-hmm. and we're fortunate in the state of Mississippi for a lot of parts. Yeah. I mean, we're in a great economic upturn right now, but again, a lot of that has to do about good people doing good things. And if we get away from that, then we can easily fall back and not be succeeding as well as we are now.
Absolutely. And it's a scary thought, but you nailed it. That's so true. We got to take a break, but y'all stay with us. We're going to be right back here with Phil Buffington on the Lindsey Beckham Show. I want you to tell us about what you're involved in and what you're out in the community doing, because you're all over the place. I see you everywhere, and I love that. And I think it's incredible that we've got such active community members in our county. So y'all stay with us. This is the Lindsey Beckham Show, 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. 39 WYAB. We will be right back.
Okay. All in America. 103.9 WYAB.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Hot weather requires us to run the AC nonstop. Pure Air Consultants can inspect your unit today to ensure your AC is operating at peak performance. Pure Air Consultants is your go-to Rheem partner that can get the job done and have you resting in comfort in no time. Locally owned and operated, they have proudly served our community for over 22 years. Contact Pure Air Consultants today at mypureairconsultants.com. Rheem and Pure Air Consultants to the rescue.
When leaks, clogs, or cold showers slow you down, call on Anglin Plumbing, the plumbing experts who get the job done right the first time. Leaky faucet, sink, or toilet? Need a water heater installed? Call on Anglin Plumbing. You can always trust Anglin's reliable and hardworking technicians. Don't let plumbing headaches ruin your day. Call on Anglin Plumbing Service to get it fixed. And you can be a part of the team. Anglin Plumbing is now hiring. Learn more about Anglin Plumbing at anglinplumbing.com.
Need equipment that works as hard as you do? Come see me, Noah Sullivan, at H&H Chief Sales in Carthage. Thousands of you have already made the short drive to see us at H&H for the state's best deals on CM truck beds, Big Tex trailers, Wells Fargo enclosed trailers, and even rugged Candy electric utility vehicles. At H&H, our equipment is built for the farm, job site, hunting camp, or anywhere around your property. So visit me, Noah Sullivan, at H&H Chief Sales on Highway 35 North in Carthage, or online anytime at hhchiefsales.com.
Want insider tips on foundation repair, maintenance, and how to protect your biggest investment? Todd Sandridge, owner of Superior Foundation Services, will be dropping in this month for quick interviews with your favorite local hosts. Whether you're dealing with cracks, settling, or just want peace of mind, This is a conversation you don't want to miss. Superior Foundation Services, helping you stay on solid ground. Find them online at superior.ms. That's superior.ms.
The best investment on earth is earth. This is real estate agent Shane Saxton. As I like to say, the government can print more money, but they can't print more land. In the past 2 years, I've sold over $100 million in real estate. Call me today to get your land and home sold, because Saxton Sales isn't just a slogan. It's backed up by hundreds of satisfied clients just like you.
Find one of Mississippi's top real estate agents, Shane Saxton, on Facebook, or call Shane at 601-540-5040. Hopper Property, 601-724-1435.
If you want the best health care, where do you go? The Mayo Clinic. If you want the best care for your vehicle, where do you go? Mayo Auto Clinic in Raymond. Mayo Auto Clinic does foreign and domestic vehicles and diesel repair. Mayo Auto Clinic has ASE certified techs with over 25 years of experience. You can extend the life of your car or truck when you take it to Mayo Auto Clinic. For cost-effective repairs and maintenance, go to the best, Mayo Auto Clinic. Open weekdays at 7 a.m. Highway 18 in Raymond.
Sun coming up over New York City.
Welcome back into the Lindsey Beckham Show. We are live here in the WYAB studios. I'm joined by my friend, Mr. Phil Buffington. Today, we're talking about how to make our communities great, how to stay involved. And in that first segment, we touched a little bit on our kids watching us and watching what we're doing. And hopefully that plays a role in their future and how active they want to be if they've grown up in a home where they've seen mom or dad or both just be incredibly active in their church, in their community, in politics, in the school system, in any area where you're passionate. So, Phil, were you as involved when your kids were younger?
I was. I actually, that's been part of my life all along. I was early on because my parents and grandparents were really involved in Canton, in the community. My church was involved in the community. And moving on through that, I was an Eagle Scout. And I say that with a lot of pride, because a lot of people don't make it all the way through the Scout system. But that really instilled a lot of community-oriented things in me. But as I grew up and I got married, I was involved in community issues all throughout college. I've always been engaged in politics because I think being part of the political process makes our community and our state better, and I've always been involved in that. But as I grew older and I got married and I had children, I was really active in my church. I was really active in some community organization. Going back as part of my practice of law, I started really working with a lot of nonprofits. There were a lot of people out there who were trying to start good causes that they needed help to find a way to organize their company. And so I went through a lot of that, and I formed a lot of 501c3s in the past that were housing organizations or education organizations or other things, just trying to give back to the community. And my one big principle through all of that, which goes back to what we've been talking about, Lindsey, is having somebody with a passion. If you've got an organization that really wants to have a cause, you've got to have that one person that is passionate about it, that they're going to be out there out front leading the way, pulling people along if they have to, but hopefully they're just kind of bringing them along instead of pulling them. But somebody that's going to be the focal point of what that organization needs to be. And to me, that is the basic premise of not only community organizations, but any organization in general, having that person that is really passionate about moving that cause forward. It can be youth sports, it can be religion, it can be any activity. And again, it's just finding a way to build momentum and getting people involved, because if you can, and I'll give you an example. My kids played soccer, and I served as the president of the organization. It was about an 800 kid organization, and we did a lot of things. And sometimes I'd have to miss part of the game because I was having to do some of the other things. But they saw me out there. They were involved with what I was doing. Same thing in church. my children were going to church, they would see me. If I was ushering, if I was serving in a capacity at on the board for the church, they would see that and they would know where I was. I always made sure that they knew what I was doing and I wasn't just away from home, because I think it's important for them to understand what we do and how we're trying to make things better. Because I do think our children really do repeat what we do through life. If we really give them a good image to follow, then that's what they'll do. I really do believe that. And it's important. And I know you do the same thing. I see you with your kids and they're out there with you at organizations, and that's important.
It's so important. And listening to you say that just reminded me so much of my daddy growing up. He umpired Little League Baseball all through the summer. So I went with him to the baseball field, and I knew more about baseball than little boys did, and they couldn't stand it. But I ended up keeping the official books for the league, the Dixie Youth League.
Yeah.
And then he led our music. He was our choir director and minister of music at our church on Sundays, and he was a deacon. So he was always at deacons meetings and choir practice. And so when he wasn't home, he was doing something inside the community or inside the church. And I knew that. And so you reminded me, speaking just then, so much of watching my dad as I grew up.
And I'll give you another example. Years ago, my oldest son went with me to a hearing one time. We were going somewhere else out of town. I think it was a soccer tournament, and I had to go through South Mississippi before we went to Birmingham. But he went with me, and he sat in the courtroom and did that. I think just letting your children participate in your life and see how you can make a difference and see what it takes to do that really changes how they approach life going forward. I really do. I'm proud of my children. I know you are yours. Mine are really involved in their children's lives, and I think that makes a difference. And those are great examples. That kind of warms my heart to hear you say that your dad was an umpire, because really think about that. Everybody doesn't like the umpire, but you know why they don't like them? Because they don't want to know them. Once they get to know them and they like them, then they really become a different person. And you being there and being a part of that really, I know it made a huge difference to him. And I think it probably made a difference to you and how you treat your children and how you do, how you help grow them up. So,
oh yeah, those were some of the best memories of my life. Some of the most special times was at that baseball field with my daddy. And, I wasn't necessarily politically involved until COVID. COVID really woke me up and showing up at the school board meetings. And that's when I learned that there were so many other things happening in a public school system that I was not okay with and that I didn't know about before. And I remember talking to someone who said, well, your first step is you need to file with the Secretary of State and you need to start a 501c. And I'm like, a what? I'd never heard of that, a 501c3 or 501c4 before.
Yep.
Of course, now that's second language to me. You learn real quick when it's something that you're truly passionate about. It doesn't take much to get you sparked and involved.
You're right. And sometimes you'll find people that'll go through that process and do it all, but the passion fades. But if you're going to go through that process, you really need to maintain that passion and find a way to do that like you've done. Because again, there are a lot of community organizations that go out and start a really good cause and then they fade. And so you've got to find ways to build up the involvement and build up the commitment to continue that cause and really make a difference in the community. And just about everything. I don't stay involved in a lot of things for a long period of time. Sometimes I'll get in them and then I'll leave and I'll come back to them. And part of the reason is if you really start looking around organizations and they've got a lot of people that are coming in and volunteering and they've got everything going right for them, you can back up and back away from being overly involved and still be somewhat involved and help, and then move on to another one that really needs somebody with a little more passion that can really help make the community better. And I think that's really important, not to just get tied into one and always stay there, to always be looking for other ways that you can be involved and make the community better. Because I am firmly convinced that nothing in our communities really happen for the positive without the human element. Once we get people involved and they're making a difference and they're trying to make the communities better, not only does it make the community better, it makes the government better.
That's right. It's a domino effect.
It really is. And once all of that's better, it really is making it better for everybody. And that's what we ought to be about, is trying to make sure that we're basically improving the livelihood of everybody out there. And however we get involved, I really believe that.
Absolutely. And I think awareness and education is key
It is.
in a lot of scenarios, because people are just so busy. We get boggled down and busy with our day-to-day lives, raising kids, going here, there, dropping one off there, practice here, homework here, and you just get overwhelmed. But we forget that we need to continue to keep our community strong for our children. And that awareness and that education, speaking to people about the issues that we know about, that we're passionate about, is what gets other people on board.
Well, and you hit on a great point. It knowing about the issues that you're passionate about, getting out there and educating yourself, because I think really a lot of times we'll find people that are out there and they're passionate about something until they're really pushed on the details, and really make sure you know about what you're talking about. And
Right.
you do. And I think that's important, because otherwise people are going to see it, and they're going to see it as really not being passionate about something you really are. You know more about it, or lack of sincerity. But, I do think, and I hate to even say this, but I'm going to say it. I do think it's sometimes important for you to say no, because you
Mhm.
can't overcommit.
Right.
And if you overcommit, everything that you're involved in and passionate about does have a tendency to suffer. And we don't see that as quickly as we should. And I'm not saying say no forever. I'm just saying sometimes it's better to just say, let me take a pass on this right now, come back to me. And that way you don't lose your commitment and passion about another cause that would suffer if you took something else on. And I think that's hard for us to remember. It's hard for me. I
Yeah.
won't talk about anybody else.
No, it's
I am-
tough. It's tough.
I am the world's worst about telling people yes, when I probably should have said, can we do it later? But again, we make it work, and we try to make sure that we're doing it great. But it really is important to make sure we keep it balanced, because we don't want to lose sight of our family. And we
Right.
don't want to lose sight of our faith, and we don't want to lose sight of everything that we're trying to do for the community. And when we overcommit, sometimes we lose sight of all three.
Absolutely. And I think we should most definitely stay involved and most active in those things that God has placed on our heart,
I agree.
where He wants us to be. And sometimes it's easy to lose focus on that when we're overcommitted or get too busy.
Yep.
We got to take another break, but
Okay.
y'all stay with us. We still haven't gotten to the things you are involved in.
Oh.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that
Okay.
next. Y'all stay with us. This is the Lindsey Beckham Show. We'll be right back here, 103.9 WYAB. Welcome back into the Lindsey Beckham Show, live here in the WYAB studios. We're also streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Let me check out the comment section here. Somebody said, "What's up? Let's make America great again." Absolutely. And then sometimes we get these comments in the comment section. Yeah, I never understand why people watch somebody they don't agree with and then decide to comment, but it's neither here nor there. There's just those people out there who just want to stir up drama or say something ugly whenever they can. And I find it comical because if you took the effort and the time that you spend doing that and put it into your community, then you never know what kind of a difference you could make.
You're right.
But Phil, you and I, we both sit on the Madison County GOP Executive Board. Yes. And then you also sit on the state Executive Committee. Then you're also involved in the Madison Business League.
I am.
And you're an attorney by trade, correct?
Yes, I am.
So and you just, did all this just fall into your lap or?
Well, it's really interesting because I really, my practice led me to some of this, some of the nonprofit work that I did and some of the boards that I've served on in the past, like Habitat. I really got involved because of the legal work they needed. And so I did that pro bono. And it developed a relationship there, and I was on their board for several years, and I've helped them with legal matters over several years. The Republican efforts that I've been involved with started off with Madison County. I've always, like I said, been engaged, but about 8 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, I got on the executive committee. I actually have been on the executive committee for Rankin County before, going all the way back. A good friend of mine, I'll make a shameless plug for, Ebby Spivey, who was chairman of the Republican Party back in the 80s, got me involved with the Rankin County Republican Executive Committee when I lived over there. I ultimately ended up back in Madison County where I grew up, got back involved, and it makes a difference because I think if you're not active, then you really can't effectuate change. Like you're saying, somebody can call and listen to you. Somebody can call and complain about you and say bad things if they want to. But what change is that affecting in our community? And so if you really want to effectuate change, you have to get involved. And that means you're going to have to go to some meetings. That means you're going to have to do some things that you don't like to do. I like to tell people all the time, I'm a lawyer. I hate timesheets, but I have to keep up with them. But do the things that you need to do, and then do the things that you may not be, you really enjoy doing, but that can make a difference. And we all have to do that in our life. And I just think that's important to be involved in that. But, like you said, the executive committees for both the state and the local, I've also served as chair of the United Republican Fund, which is basically a fundraising arm to raise money for the Republican Party in the state. Doesn't go to candidates, goes to overhead, so we can have people in place that help us effectuate change, the change we believe in. And if that's not your cup of tea, that's fine. But that's really something that I was passionate about because
it's necessary.
It is, because organizations are only as good as how strong the organization is. People come and go. And so if you don't have a strong organization, then the cause you're trying to promote is going to suffer at some point if you're just relying on one individual. And that could be somebody that's governor, lieutenant governor, whatever. It could be just the executive director. You've got to have a strong organization and get community buy-in. And I think that's really important. And it's really important if you think about it from young people. And I think a lot of the organizations I was involved in early on helped develop me from the standpoint of some leadership abilities and learning how to deal with people and learning how to deal with people in adversarial situations. So it even helped me as a lawyer. And it certainly helped me when I move forward and advise boards on things that they need to deal with, especially when there's controversial things, not only within the board itself, or it could be just with the board with outside individuals. So I think all of that is a great training ground. And that's just the added benefit. You're changing the community and you're becoming a better person. And when you can do that, then it's always a win-win. And I think that's important for people to know. It's not just about making the community better, it's about making yourself better too.
Absolutely. And it's not just timesheets that you deal with as the treasurer of our Madison County Executive Committee. You get to deal with all the bank statements and our balances and report those at our meetings every month. But in the break, we were talking about having those relationships with our elected officials, whether it be our board of supervisors or your particular congressman, or those who represent you at the state legislature. And not just calling them when you want to fuss at them, and not just calling them when you want something, but getting to know them and really forming a genuine relationship. It can take you a long way.
Well, it can, because again, getting back to engagement, if you will get engaged with your elected officials, then you're going to develop a relationship. They'll trust you. You know you can trust them. And quite frankly, moving forward, it's easier to accomplish things to make the community better. And I like to tell people, I will work with anybody to help make Madison County better, as long as they're honest and truthful with me, and I know we're moving in the same direction. And if we're not, then maybe we don't need to work together, but that doesn't mean we can't be friends. Just sometimes there's a difference in the ways we ought to do things, but that's all right. But if you don't become engaged and you don't develop those relationships, and like you said, if you're always just calling to complain or ask for something, that doesn't go unnoticed. They notice, and I think you mentioned to me, a text to them during session. It's been a really complicated issue they're dealing with. You're just in my prayers. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know. That's greatly appreciated, because we're all human and we all like to know that what we're doing to make our communities better is appreciated by the people that we're trying to help. And I'm not saying that people do it for that reason, and they shouldn't, but it is helpful when they do, because it keeps them really built up inside, and it helps them really be more concerned about what's going on and be more passionate about achieving really good things for our counties and our communities.
Yeah, and you never know when they're struggling, and that
You're
one
right.
text might give them
Absolutely.
the second win that they need to make it through the legislative session. And if we're always calling to fuss or asking for something, or not being engaged, then you never have a seat at the table.
Right.
You never get to really give your input on something, because you're never taken seriously.
Well, and I think really it really is incumbent on us to get out and find out what needs to be better in the community. You and I were talking about different topics that some of the stuff that you really hadn't delved into until certain points in your life, and you did, and it kind of shocked you on what you're seeing. Look, there are great causes out there. Look around and see what we need to be involved in. See what we need to be doing better. See what we can be doing better, because it really is important. I think people are generally good, and if we will give them the opportunity to be successful, give them the tools to be successful, and give them the support to be successful in any community organization, or even just in their work life or their family life, then I think we're going to see positive results. I really do. And that's what we really ought to be there for, is to build up our communities, make them better for everybody concerned. And I think we can do that. I know we do it in Madison County, and I know other counties do it too. So I think it's just that commitment to stay engaged, be involved, and help make a difference.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we really all want the same things. We want a great community. We want a safe place to raise our kids. We want great schools we can send them to. And so being involved and being engaged is how we get that done. We may see different routes to get to the end goal there.
You're right.
But I think when we are engaged and we listen and talk to each other, we really agree on so much more than we disagree.
We do. And it's easier for us to find those things we disagree on and be disagreeable and ignore the things. And who was it, Reagan? If you're an 80% friend, doesn't mean you're a 20% enemy.
Right.
And that really strikes me, because there are a lot of people that I'm good friends with that we don't agree on everything. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that I want to be around people that agree with me on everything, because I like to be around. Well, it is. I like to be around people that really push me to think about other things and let me develop my own thought process. And we really have to let people do that. And it gets back to education. I'm not talking about leading our kids. I'm talking about allowing our kids to develop their own thought process and really build who they are, not be told who they're going to be.
Exactly. 1,000,000%. We got to take our last break, but y'all stay with us. We're going to be right back here on the Lindsey Beckham Show to wrap things up on this Monday afternoon. Don't go anywhere.
.1039 WYAB.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Hot weather requires us to run the AC nonstop. Pure Air Consultants can inspect your unit today to ensure your AC is operating at peak performance. Pure Air Consultants is your go-to Rheem partner that can get the job done and have you resting in comfort in no time. Locally owned and operated, they have proudly served our community for over 22 years. Contact Pure Air Consultants today at mypureairconsultants.com. Rheem and Pure Air Consultants to the rescue.
When it comes to protecting all the things that matter in your world, generations of folks in central Mississippi have trusted Allstate agent Mark Dwyron. Mark knows the right coverage with the right price, helps you feel secure and protected. For decades, Mark's been a trusted agent protecting you against mayhem that is unpredictable, and he's always just a moment away when you need him. Mark Dwyron. For auto, home, life, and more, you're in good hands with Allstate. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
Health has always been reactive, focused on fixing problems as they happen. But with Blue Primary Care, we're taking a proactive approach, working with you to help you understand your health and empowering you to be healthy. It's time to prioritize you, your health, and your life. The results? Less worrying and more living. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue.
The Tri-County Academy Rebel success in the classroom and on the athletic stage begins with the Tri-County Academy Booster Club. Join the team and be a Rebel by getting involved in volunteering as a booster. Your involvement is the generator for fundraisers, facility upgrades, equipment, uniforms, and all other needs. Tri-County Athletics thrives in part because of our TCA boosters. Join today by calling the TCA main office at 601-879-8517 and help the Rebels continue the championship tradition.
Some people spend summer stressing over snacks. Smart people stop at Broad Street Baking Company. From smoked salmon dip to whipped feta and so much more, you can build your own snack tray, enjoy a cocktail, and grab a full-size dip to go. Beach day, boat day, game night, or backyard hang, Broad Street has summer covered. Take home all of your favorites from the grab-and-go cooler. Broad Street Baking Company in Banner Hall. We'll handle the snacks. You enjoy the summer.
You wake up tired. You drag through the day. The drive's gone. The focus is gone. And somewhere along the way, you stopped feeling like yourself. At Live Better Men's Health and Wellness in Gluckstadt, they help men take control again with personalized testosterone therapy, wellness treatments, and real answers. Fast lab work, real medical professionals, no judgment. Stop settling for fine. Start living better. Live Better Men's Health. Online at livebettermen.com.
Fraud is everywhere these days. The good news, there are simple steps that you can take to help stay safe. AARP Mississippi is hosting free fraud prevention events to help protect yourself, like free shred events that let you safely dispose of sensitive documents, and free fraud prevention workshops in person and online. Register for a free fraud prevention event at www.aarp.org/ms.
Give anonymous comments.
Welcome back in to the Lindsey Beckham Show. We've got just about a minute left. Thank you so much, Phil Buffington, for being here. I love that you're so engaged in community and that you know how to share how important that is. And my favorite quote I'll share with you real quick, Thomas Paine, I say it to the listeners all the time, if there must be trouble, let it come in my day so that my children may have peace. And that's what woke me up. So we've got about 30 seconds left. Tell the listeners what you want them to hear.
I love that quote because I do believe I would rather deal with the problems myself so we can make things better. And what I would really ask everybody to do is become involved. Help us deal with the problems. Let's make everything better for our future generations, because I believe that's what people did for us before us. And I think that's what we need to continue to do, because if we set a good example, it'll be followed.
Absolutely. I'll be right back here tomorrow, same time, same place. Thanks, Phil. Bye-bye.
Bye.